Well, hello, Jamie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you are officially my first wedding planner that's been on the podcast. So.
Well, I'm honored.
Yes, me too. And so thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really excited to talk to you because I find what you're doing really interesting. And so why don't we just kind of start where you giving us a quick Cliff Notes version of what got you onto YouTube?
Yeah, well, I had wanted to start a YouTube channel for a long time, which I feel like is so many people. They're just kind of stuck in this place of, I kind of want to do one. I'd owned the camera that I wanted to film on for probably a year and a half before I even got started. So I just had the desire to create stuff. I've just always wanted to do that kind of thing. And when I had started my wedding planning business, I thought, that might be a kind of a cool thing to share on YouTube. But I'd been in business for a while and I hadn't done it. And then finally I thought, you know what? No one else is doing it. I might as well try. If it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere, but maybe it'll help my current clients out. So that's kind of why and how I got started.
So you knew right away that you wanted to do a channel on like wedding planning, event planning, all that stuff.
Yeah. I initially wanted it to be, actually my first thought was just go lifestyle, but then I was like, I don't know if I can provide enough value. Later on, I ended up starting a second channel because I realized just create. But I knew I could provide value in the wedding planning sphere.
Awesome. And so when you first started, take me back to that. That wasn't too long ago. We're looking at like the end of 2017. So what did you decide to upload those first few videos?
I'm sorry, say that one time?
What types of videos did you decide to upload? Like, what were they about?
The first few videos were definitely, in fact, one of my very first videos is one of my most viewed to this date. I just wanted to tell people what they didn't have to worry about when it came to wedding planning, because there's so many factors out there that stress people out, and I realized that I could be a voice from behind the scenes to say, guess what? Some of this doesn't matter. Like, if it's important to you, sure, let's add value there. Let's create space for it. But if it's not, let's give you some breathing room and don't feel like you have to subscribe to all these traditions that you see touted all over the internet or on Pinterest or what your family and friends will say, but really kind of delve in and figure out what you want to do. So that was kind of the intent behind those first few. And just to pull back the curtain on, here's what I see. Here are some tips to make your life a little bit easier.
I think that's great. And so I see here, like the first few videos are like, food truck wedding catering, how to plan a backyard wedding, 10 roles of a wedding coordinator, which is really interesting. And then this one, which you released, I think in December, it was, and this is your highest viewed video so far, is 12 things your guests and what does that stand for? DGAFF about.
It was my way of trying to be clever, and if I could go back and switch it, I mean, I'm sure I could change the thumbnail and the title, but it's been that way for so long. It was don't give a flying fart
about. Okay, and I think that's
trying to be PC, but then it just ends up looking weird. But hey, it works.
Do you know what? It worked. I mean, you said, hey, maybe we would have done something different, but honestly, I would argue and say what you did was just right because 1, 2, 3, unless you privated any of your videos, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos into creating, starting your channel, you have a video that now has almost 400,000 views on it. So sometimes these unexpected little things, you're like, well, maybe I
guess I did something right.
Yeah. And so I watched this video and I thought it was like, as someone who's been married, who's had a wedding, my wedding was 10 years ago, but like, I went through the whole thing. I related to so much of these things. It's like, like these are things that your guests don't care. And I just thought it was a really interesting video. And were you surprised as to how well that ended up doing?
Oh, so surprised. I had no concept at all whatsoever. Well, first I had no concept how well the channel would be received at all. But then to see kind of what it's become now, I think people were looking for permission. They were looking for permission to not have to do all the things. So I think that's been a really powerful tool for a lot of people.
So 6 videos in, not even like a month into starting your channel, you have this video blow up. So now where's your head at when it comes to your channel?
Oh, I don't even know how to answer that question. I feel like in the beginning there was so much pressure to create perfection in every single video. And now I've gotten to the point where I realize even if I can just serve a small subset of my subscribers, then it's successful. And I would consider that a success. So in the beginning, it was, how do I be as punchy as possible or get as much meat into all the videos that I'm providing? And then the more I got into it, the more I realized people are sticking around just because they want to hang out and they want tips along the way. So there's definitely less pressure associated with it now.
That's
sure.
Interesting. So there's a lot of times I hear the opposite. It's like, oh yeah, I finally started to take it seriously, and now it's like I'm putting more production value into it, more effort into it. So you find it's actually less pressure.
We're doing better production value. Like if you look at my old videos, the audio is terrible. The video is not great. The lighting's not great. So I've definitely made strides in editing and in sound and in video. But those I felt like were great small changes, so I can just make improvements where I can. I think I just put an immense amount of pressure on myself to always have grand slams, to always have epic videos each and every week. And until I reached a point where I realized that's not a possibility. And it's important that I just keep creating, that I just keep helping people out. It may not be a full home run every single time for every single viewer, but I'm still helping somebody.
So what is at that time and now, is your schedule still the same, or were you uploading consistently, or what was your upload schedule like?
No, I've been consistently uploading every Tuesday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Basically, since I started, I think I've missed maybe 2 uploads.
Oh, wow.
But I did a gob ton. And those that I missed, I think I missed 1 week entirely because we were on vacation and it was super early on. I didn't even have 200 subscribers yet. So I was like, it's okay. Give myself some grace.
Yeah.
And the second one I just released a couple days later because I had just gotten back from a wedding in England. And I was like, I need a minute.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I stayed pretty consistent. Because that's one thing that I did beforehand was a ton of research, AKA I procrastinated a lot before getting started. And one of the things that a bunch of people recommended was just consistency. If people know you're going to show up, they'll show up for you.
Yeah. So what are some of the other things that you had learned when you were trying to kind of figure out your YouTube channel that you put into practice that actually did work?
I learned that if you're going to be sitting in like one static place I learned to work on my vocal dynamics. I learned to work on moving my hands a little bit. I mean, not super exaggerated, although sometimes I get a little weird just every once in a while, but to not be afraid to let my personality show. So really, and both my parents are public speakers. So I know that in order to capture people's attention, you have to be dynamic enough. You have to have enough going on, especially if there's no motion in the video. So that's one thing that I learned from my research and from watching my parents speak, and I've done public speaking too. You got to do something interactive. You got to move around. You have to use some vocal inflection, and then people tend to stay longer because you're more fun to watch and listen to.
That's so huge. And I feel like so many people think like, oh, I'm just going to get onto YouTube and just like create videos about what I'm passionate about. Like, yeah, that's huge. And having passion in something really is going to make that magnetic personality shine through even better. But at the same time, being aware of like what you talked about, like being interesting, being engaging, being magnetic is a huge part of it, because you have to entertain people.
Yeah. In fact, one of my dearest friends since high school, he's just starting out a channel, and he's like, can we just sit down and film together? Because I'd be interested to see how you film. He's seen my videos. He's known me for 17 years. Oh, I just admitted how long it's been since high school. And we started filming, and I changed how I spoke. And he goes, whoa, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. I told him about the vocal inflection. I told him about motion. He's like, it feels not quite like stage acting because it's still you, but you're projecting so much more, and there's more emphasis in what you're saying. And I said, yeah, that's when I'm filming for my channel, it's still me. Like, it's still very much me, but it's the same person that I would be if I was on stage talking to several thousand people. As opposed to the conversational type of thing that we're doing right now, it's a different vibe.
Yeah, I call that your superstar clickable presence.
Ooh, that's catchy. I like that.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's kind of what I teach in my courses and stuff, is like, you've got to get that superstar clickable presence. You know, it's like the best version of yourself, the most magnetic version, charismatic. And that's huge. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. Is there anything, does it come naturally to you? Like whenever you start filming a video, or is there anything that you do to kind of pump yourself up or get yourself set up for that?
Yeah, I'd love to say that at each and every single week, I'm like, I'm ready. It's going to be great. But that's not always the case. Sometimes I do need to pump myself up. Sometimes I throw my headphones in and I just listen to some like old school hip hop because it just, you just can't help but just kind of get into it.
Yeah.
And then as I'm filming, if I can feel myself like becoming more drab, I just take a beat and I go, okay, am I in this moment? Am I present? Am I okay to keep filming? Because right now, like I hear myself talking and I sound a little bit boring.
Yeah, I'm bored with myself.
Yeah, I find myself annoying at the moment. Yeah. So it's not always a grand slam. Not all of them are going to be great, especially because there's life stuff that happens sometimes, and you're just like, I'm not in a very filmy mood right now. And so I either take a beat and come back to it later, or I dig down, pick myself up by my bootstraps, and go, just do it. Like it's still me. It's just, having that presence that you talked about.
Yeah, I think that's great. So now, like about, I would say, like 2 years after you started your channel, almost like a year and a half after you started.
Yeah.
Are you at a point now, you're still doing the wedding planning? Like how much is YouTube a part of your daily life? And how much are you still doing the planning? Has it taken over that, or are you doing half and half? Or what's kind of like your schedule now?
Yeah, I always upload once a week on my wedding planning channel. I do my best to upload once a week on my personal channel, but I give myself a little bit more grace there because we got 3 kids and I am running my own business. I do.
Oh my God, that's crazy. So wait, I didn't know you had 2 channels. So you have 2 channels.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one that I've been looking at is your wedding planner one, the Jamie Wolfer. Yeah. Okay. And then how many subscribers does your second channel have?
Like 5,000, 5,500, something like that. Yeah.
But you're still
much
posting,
smaller in comparison.
But you're still posting once a week on that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, the last few weeks, especially because I've had the course launch, which has been really time consuming. I took a step back from that channel and just said, you know what, something's got to give. It can be this channel because I still want to be the mom that I want to be. I still want to be the wife that I want to be and the wedding planner that I want to be. So I tend to only take on like 15 to 25 events a year myself personally. So I try not to get too bogged down, and even 25 feels like a lot for me.
I was like, that's a lot. That's like at least once a month, but 2 a month.
Yeah,
that's a
this
lot.
month, October, we have 6. So,
oh my God. Oh my God.
So there are certain months where there's a ton going on. There's certain months where there's not a whole lot going on. So I also work from home. So I don't go to an office every day. So I have our older 2 go to school, but I've got a toddler with me all day too. So it certainly complicates things. Yeah. So you get it.
I have 2 little ones. Yeah. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, it's
nap
tough.
time is precious time.
Oh my God.
Get in front of the camera, just go.
Yes, nap time is gold, and after they go to sleep at night. Most nights I'm up till like 1 a.m. So that's when I can get my work done. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember last time I went to bed before midnight.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I know. #mom life. So, but that's crazy. You have 3 little ones. You've got your wedding business, and then you've got your YouTube channel, your 2 channels, and then that's insane. So how long does it take you on average to film? And do you do your own editing, or do you have somebody do that for you? You do all this. So do you outsource anything in relation to your channel? No. So you're still doing everything yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long does it take you to create a video and edit it and upload it?
I would say, a huge portion of what I do actually goes into the conception of the video. I spend a lot of time taking notes, writing down bullet points. So that Mondays are my filming days. So I wake up in the morning, I get my coffee. I usually chat with my mom for a little bit, tell her about my concept just because she's a great sounding board, and I talk to my mom a lot.
Yeah.
And then sit down for, I don't know, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to like really delve into the topic and make sure it's all clear and concise. Because if I start filming and I'm not fully versed on what I'm going to say, it's not very good. Yeah. And then filming probably takes maybe 30 minutes. Because once it's developed, I can get through it pretty quickly. And I know 30 minutes sounds long. But again, if something comes out and I'm like, no, let's re-say that one more time. And then editing after Vlogmas last year on my personal channel, editing is so much faster because I did it every day. So I'd say as long as it's not a complicated video with extra video that I'm overlaying or anything like that, it's maybe an hour and a half.
Oh, wow. Okay. So not crazy editing or anything.
No.
What do you use to edit?
Final Cut.
Yeah, Final Cut. Okay. And so What was I going to ask you? So take me to that idea of conceptualizing the video, because I think that's really, I agree with you. I feel like that's almost the most important part. And walk us through you kind of coming up with the idea and then the whole process that you take before you're actually filming it.
Yeah, so I actually have a content planning master sheet that I work off of, where I'd love to say that I batch work, but I'm not quite there yet. But I will go to that sheet and go, what am I feeling today? What idea am I jiving with? I have advice options. I have DIYs. I have vendor interview ideas. There's one other category that I'm not thinking of right now. And so if I have the DIYs prepped ahead of time, that's a very easy one to do, especially because I could just do a voiceover afterwards. Or sometimes I'll schedule the vendor interviews ahead of time. But for the most part, a lot of what I do is either tips or advice. So I pick a topic that I like. And then I sit down and just kind of brainstorm for a little bit. What are the biggest areas how can I help? How can I supplement this idea? What are ideas that I have seen implemented that work or don't work? And then I kind of keep reworking them until it feels like they're in an appropriate flow. And then jot down a point or two underneath each one. I know myself well enough to know that I don't need to write a script, that once I sit down with these points, the rest of it will just kind of come naturally because I'm speaking from personal experience.
Yeah. And so does any of that process involve you kind of doing research on SEO or keywords or any of that stuff?
I have never done research on SEO or keywords.
Okay.
No, I should, but I have not.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. Actually, you'd be surprised how many people on this show who come on the show who don't pay attention to it at all.
Yeah, I haven't touched it yet. I'm probably going to be working with a company that'll help me with that pretty soon in the future, which will be phenomenal, especially because then I can actually see, because right now this is just basically organic growth. So I couldn't imagine if I did any sort of research into SEO or tagging or anything like that, what could happen with that.
Yeah. And so what about your thumbnails and your titles? How do you come up with those? And is that part of that planning process, or do you kind of think about that later?
I kind of go into it like my content master sheet has titles that kind of already work. So I write down a title concept that potentially I can build up. And then usually from there, the idea of coming up with a title is fairly simple. It's either, 17 things to make your wedding day easier. So it's a number that people are like, oh, I'm curious to hear what those 17 things are. Or I try not to get too clickbaity if I can help it. But sometimes every once in a while, it's like, this is the most important or most overlooked part of your wedding day, which is another pretty popular video on my channel. So I don't know. I just kind of come up with them, which is probably the most helpful. And then I use the same exact thing that I have in my title as my thumbnail. So I know a lot of people kind of do two different things. I don't know why I got stuck with this route of doing that. I just keep doing it. It seems to be okay so far.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. If it's working for you, then, go for it. So let's talk a little bit about your course that you created. So did that come about because of your YouTube channel, or did you always have this idea of a course, or how did that idea conceptualize?
It came about because of the channel, because I consistently get the same questions over and over and over again in DMs or in comments. And I realized that there's a huge market of people planning their weddings that are completely underserved by the wedding industry right now, because 70 or 73% of couples are planning their weddings without any form of wedding planner or wedding coordinator. That's a massive majority of people in the United States that are kind of just figuring it out and going to places like Google or Pinterest or YouTube. And I wanted to give them something actionable. Like I'd get inquiries for people who want to hire me who are in a different state and their budget is $5,000. Yeah, I can't even fly. If I fly there, I'll take up at least a quarter of your budget. So it came from seeing that there was a great need here and realizing that while there may be other resources out there that are doing it, I couldn't see them very easily. And neither could any of my viewers. So I thought I'll make one. And so that way I could be their online wedding planner and take them through all the steps I take my clients through. So they actually have someone holding their hand throughout the process. And we could potentially lessen that 73% or 70% or whatever it is. So they can go into this feeling educated. Because that's the hardest part about planning a wedding is you jump into it and you go, this is a new language. I don't know what any of this means. I'm floundering. I'm sorry, that's supposed to cost me what? So to have spreadsheets and step-by-step instructions of how to interview your vendors or how much money you should devote to each section of your budget, I felt like was a very important tool. And it was to bridge the gap between the clients I see personally and the people I serve on my channel.
On your channel.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So when did you release your course?
Mid-August of this year.
Okay. So how are you promoting it? Are you talking about it on your channel? Do you have the links in the description?
Yeah, I do have the links in the description. I let one comment get the best of me, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
I mentioned it in one launch video, like did a whole launch video about it, which proved very successful. I mentioned it in the following video, like a week later, and someone told me to calm my promo down, and I got really self-conscious about it.
Oh.
So I've kind of alluded to it since, in the fact that, like, if I'm discussing something like the video I filmed today was all about priorities, and I said, actually there's a whole entire lecture that I've devoted to priorities within the master plan. So just quiet nods to it, like if you're still interested or if this is a topic you want to delve into further, know that that's an option here in my course. I do plan on doing like more social media campaigns, Instagram, maybe Facebook, definitely Pinterest, but we're still kind of in the beginning phases of that. So right now I'm not doing any advertising at all other than kind of talking about it and putting it in the description box.
So the only traffic to that course is your YouTube.
Yeah.
And then how is it going so far? Like how many students you have and all that kind of fun stuff?
Yeah, I actually don't know. I haven't checked that in a while. I think we've crested 15,000 in sales.
Oh, that's good.
Which is pretty decent off of one video and a secondary shout out. So I feel good about it. I just hope that once we actually start advertising, it'll turn to something more. Because right now we're not doing any advertising at all. It's just untapped potential at this point.
Yeah, I say that really is. Because how much is your course?
$199 for 6 months access and $299 for 12-month access.
Oh, that's great. That's very reasonable.
Yeah, we wanted to make it really palatable because when I planned my wedding, we only had $8,000 to work with. So I was like, I want to make this for my people, the people who didn't have money or who don't have money. And then if you have a larger budget, you can use it too. I wanted to make it available to whoever needed it.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows like the power of YouTube and the power of like creating I don't say following on YouTube, but you really have a very, YouTube is a great place to create that connection with people. And the fact that like you only mentioned it in one video and you got $15,000 worth of sales. I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, it's like, do you know of anybody else that is, well, first off, that has a channel that is like wedding planning channel and it also has a course like that?
In my research phase of things, I looked to see if anyone was doing this, and it was all other YouTubers talking about their wedding planning. And it was no wedding planners talking about wedding planning. There's one gal over in Africa, I think she's in Uganda, who did videos. I don't know if she's still uploading them, but I saw some of hers. But no one is doing wedding planning YouTube videos and has a course at all.
Wow. I think that's great. I mean,
well, at least not.
Yeah, not that you're aware of. I mean, it's like that's kind of like the power of having a niche, and for you, it's a niche that makes sense because this is your what you do. This is your expertise, and so it's like it kind of just works and makes sense. And out of all the wedding planners out there in the United States, you're the only one that decided to do a YouTube channel about it, which is amazing.
Yeah. I know, it kind of blows my mind.
Yeah. And I think it's so smart of you because the thing is, maybe that one person made a comment like, oh, stop the promo. But the reality is that there is a need for what you're offering in that course, right? Like you said, not everybody can afford a wedding planner. Not everybody can afford you, or not everybody can have you as their planner because you're in a different state or whatever. And there is that need between just getting, I don't want to say generic free content on your channel because you are giving really great info and really great insight, but you can definitely go deeper in a course. And for a couple $100, somebody can get like a whole, just almost like insider look in like really the whole wedding planning thing and what you need to do. And possibly, I'm sure, save way more money than what they spend on the course.
Yeah.
And you're offering that to them. So it's like, you know, there should be no shame in you letting people know about this.
I
because
know,
it's a need.
Not let it get me.
No, you can't. Just because you have one negative Nancy. Did you get positive responses to it?
Tons and tons.
You had one negative?
Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest faults is sometimes the negative comments will get me. So I'm working on it. I'm processing through it.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely a people pleaser. So, and I also want to be aware that I don't want to be promo-y or pitchy. So if I can find if I can find organic ways to keep talking about it, that's fine. I want to serve them 90 to 95% of the time. And if I mention it 5% of the time, great. That's fine by me, but I'm going to continue to serve them.
Yeah. That's the most important thing with having a YouTube or any type of free content, whatever it is, YouTube, a podcast. Ultimately, it comes down to serving your audience and not straying from that, you know?
Yeah.
So that's huge. All right. So who would you say that your audience is? Because I'd imagine that your audience maybe changes over time because, you know, once somebody's done planning their wedding, are they still watching your channel, or are you kind of constantly getting like new people in, or what have you seen from that?
Yeah, I'm shocked by the amount of people that stick around
after the wedding.
And I have a bunch of people who will comment and say like, I got married last month, but I'm still going to watch your videos.
Yeah.
Because I just want to hang out with you, which is just like, is so tender and so sweet. So yeah. And then I find that those who become married, or once they've become married, will then graduate to my second channel or start following me on my personal Instagram simply because they want to maintain that contact, which is really, really special. And I can pinpoint several of them that I'm like, I feel like they're friends at this point. So I haven't seen, it's just been a steady growth rate. So it's not like I've seen large dips. My audience is definitely like 96% female.
Yeah.
60% of them are in the States. What I'm shocked by is that 40% of them are abroad.
Yeah,
that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Do you talk only about weddings, or do you talk about other types of events?
I only talk about weddings.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's all I plan. So it's not like I do guests.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not an event planner. I'm a wedding planner.
You're very specific to wedding.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there's the other question I have for you. Have you found that you've gotten more busy in your wedding planning business because of your channel? Have you gotten more clients?
Absolutely. I don't do any form of advertising at all with my business. Every single event for the rest of the year, they're all people that have found me because of YouTube.
Wow. That's like life-changing for you.
Oh, it's astronomically different. And I still get so giddy. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're a real person. You want to hire me? Okay.
Yeah. You found me on YouTube? Like, oh my God.
What?
Yeah. That's amazing. Where are you based out of, in case anybody's listening and wants to check you out and hire you too?
I mean, if they want to, I'm totally into it. We're based in Southern California, so we live in Murrieta, but from Orange County. So we're in LA, Orange County, and San Diego all the time. And one of our upcoming weddings is like just outside of San Luis Obispo. And we have one in Boston. We've done Hawaii. We've done Washington State. I did one in England. So it's not like we don't travel. I know. It was so cool.
Awesome. What amazing. Was that from YouTube? Someone who found you on YouTube?
Actually, it was, I think it was another wedding planner that I assisted. It was her very first wedding. So she found me, and then I was able to fly out there and help her out for the day. So I wasn't running the day, but it doesn't matter because I did a wedding in England.
That's amazing. How cool is that?
It was so cool.
That's amazing. All right. So we are nearing the end of and I'm looking for my sheet of my questions. Where are my questions? Okay. We're nearing kind of the last half of the interview, and these are, I call this a power hour segment, and these are questions I ask every single person that comes on the show, and you just kind of like respond with the first thing that comes to mind. So what would you say are the defining moments of your YouTube career?
I think just getting started. I think really and truly, because there hasn't been a giant spike at any point in time where I've just seen a massive surge of subscribers. I think one of the defining points for me was, one, getting started, and two, my very first behind the scenes video. of a wedding and seeing the response of that, which technically I actually did on Vlogmas on my second channel. And that one has, I don't know, over 20,000 views on my very small channel over there. And I was like, I think I'm onto something.
Yeah.
So the combination of those two, one, just getting started, like finally being like, just do it already. And then two, realizing, oh, wow, people want behind the scenes. They're really enjoying this. I ended the day after filming and I was like, was that even quality content? And then it was so well. It was so well received. I was like, okay, maybe it wasn't trash. Like,
well, I mean, the thing is, though, it's like not surprising. I mean, I haven't watched, I don't even know if they still have them, but there were like so many shows, I feel like, on the Style Network and like, what is it, like Life? I don't know, something like that, whatever, that were like all about weddings, you know, wedding plannings. And I forget, there was this guy, I used to watch him all the time. He was this guy, and he was like this wedding planner, and like every episode was about a different wedding. I just feel like there were so many of these shows. I don't even know if they're still on anymore, but it's like, I think people are very much interested in that. People love to see weddings. People love them.
Oh, absolutely.
I know. That's awesome. What is the hardest part for you about being a YouTube influencer?
Okay. I think it would be, just because I give free advice doesn't mean I can always give free advice.
Ooh, what do you mean about
that? I get a lot of DMs asking very personal questions, how to help people with very personal situations
specific.
or very specific situations where I'm like, that's not even a question for a wedding planner. Or I don't know you well enough to answer that. I think that's just the hardest part for me emotionally, because I want to invest and be really present in all of this. Yeah. So realizing that I can't serve everyone, and realizing that I get a bunch of comments that are super specific where I'm like, I don't know how to help.
Yeah.
So that's probably the hardest part for me, because I am such a people pleaser, and then to continuously come across stuff like that where I'm like, I don't know how to serve you. I don't know how to help. And also communicating that because I give it free advice, I still charge for my time with clients, or drawing that delineation between what I do for free and what I charge for, and making people aware of those differences too.
Yeah, it's tough, because especially if it's like, you're someone, I'm the same way. It's like, I want to like give and I want to help. Like my natural tendency is like to help people as much as possible. And it's like, when you are so, I don't want to say strapped for time, but when you're like kind of like dividing your time up into so many different things. Like for you, you've got 3 children, you have your business, you have your channel, you have to create content for your channel. Yeah. And then there's also the engagement part where you are engaging with your viewers and having that relationship with them. You have to have boundaries. Otherwise, you won't have the energy necessary to create that free content or to be there for your family, or something's going to suffer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Especially when I feel like I need to spend 20 minutes crafting a response. The second I feel like that, I'm like, maybe I should just not. Yeah, it's just
it all.
Yeah, that is the hardest part for me, and it's just like a kick to the gut every time I look at a DM, and I'm like, I can't reply to that.
Yeah.
Or I stop looking at them entirely.
Yeah. And I think that's what people end up having to do, because and is this most of this coming from Instagram, I'm assuming?
Yeah, and sometimes I'll get comments. Yeah, I'll or yes, people will email me, or I've had people call my cell phone. Or I've had or I've had people text me, and I'm like, okay, we're removing our phone numbers from places, because just, hey, do you mind if I pick your brain for a little bit? And that tends to be the tone of so many of them, and they're so sweet, and they don't know, and they're not aware, but I'm like, you're one of 20 people to ask to pick my brain today.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part, I think, about being a creator is that guilt, and then trying to figure out, like, do I communicate it? Do I not say anything? Do I just what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do?
Well, I screen phone calls. I screen phone calls, and I've kind of stopped replying to DMs, especially because they'll reach out to on my personal Instagram. If they ask wedding planning questions there, I'm like, this is not the space for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coveting my advice. That's really honoring. But for the most part, I'll answer what I can, but sometimes it just, this sounds so awful, I just have to ignore them.
Yeah. How many followers do you have on Instagram?
Just under 12,000.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. I mean, you're a relatively kind of newer-ish channel, like 55,000 subscribers, I think you're at, 12,000, on Instagram. It's like, it's like at some point, you know, it's like no wonder the people that are in the hundreds of thousands or millions, they can't. You just cannot physically answer all the DMs. And I am like, there's a lot of people that do that. They will actually go through and they'll answer things and as much as they can.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. I mean, I can imagine, you know, so it's just, you have to set those boundaries. If you were to get started today, what would you have done differently?
I would have ripped off the Band-Aid and done it sooner. Just start. Just start, because you can always get better.
Yeah.
But you can't get back the time that you didn't create content. I probably also would have, and this may be counterintuitive and a lot of people to what I just said, but I would have maybe listened to my husband when he was talking about audio quality.
Oh, yeah. Audio is huge.
Yeah. So I would have, my water just knocked over. Now I have like egg crates up in the room that I film in. I've got like, they're everywhere. I would have stepped up my audio game sooner and really paid attention to that quality, because now I watch my old videos and I'm like, ooh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
So those are the two things that I wish I would have just started. Just do it. Just start already. I mean, I just tortured myself for so long thinking, what if it's not perfect? And now I'm at the point where I'm like, not all of them are going to be perfect. And then I wish I would have up sooner.
Yeah. What are you most proud of when it comes to your YouTube channel?
That I kept going. Because coming up with wedding planning content is, I mean, I'm not coming up with original ideas all the time. Are they my ideas? Yes. Are the themes something that I'm like, yes, that's inspiring. I'll tell it through my lens. But it does get to a point where I'm like, am I going to run out of content ideas?
Yeah.
And that's scary, and that gets overwhelming. So the fact that I just keep going and I keep coming up with new stuff, I'm like, I'm proud of that. That's hard. And that's one of the biggest pitfalls for me, being an information-based channel, is at what point do I run out of information?
Yeah. Where do you see as the future of your channel?
I mean, kind of right now, I just see doing the same thing, except for I'd really like to mix in more vendor interviews, because I think they can provide so much more wealth and shed so much more light on different aspects of wedding planning. I also love DIYs, so I'd love to really delve into doing more of those.
Like wedding DIY type stuff?
Yeah, so I've done a couple centerpiece things, balloon art, I've done DIY invitations, just things that, how can we get creative and make it look beautiful and not DIY'd, but like for a DIY cost.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I mean, there's a ton of content you can do with that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if that's something you enjoy,
be prepared enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it takes a little bit more planning, but if that's something you enjoy, I mean, there's weddings for every season, every theme or whatever. I mean, there's like so much. And I think people love like when you say behind the scenes, since you do so many weddings a year, do you take some of that content and put it on your YouTube channel? Obviously, I assume with permission from the bride and groom, but are you vlogging, or do you have somebody there that's, obviously they have their own vlogger or photographer, but are you doing like little vlogs here and there to put on your channel?
Yeah, I go around with my G7X and will film myself throughout the day. So usually I try to be very honoring of the fact that it's their wedding day.
Yeah. And
it's super annoying for someone who's walking around talking to a camera, film behind the scenes snippets, and then I'll pause somewhere off to the side and kind of explain what just happened or what's about to happen. So I'm not constantly walking through the crowd.
Yeah, got it. If you could change one thing about YouTube, what would it be?
Ooh, I don't know. So, I think I would change the ads that are on my videos, because there are very few people who are doing wedding related ads. So all of my subs are seeing the same videos all the time. Yeah. That's annoying.
The Bed Bath and Beyond. Like when I was watching your videos, I was getting like the same wedding related ads.
All of them. I'm like, there's nothing else. There's like Sandals Resort. There's a couple for David's Bridal, and then Bed Bath and Beyond.
Bed Bath and Beyond.
This is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest mistake that you've made with your YouTube channel?
Is it fair to say I don't think I've made a biggest mistake yet, but I've made several small ones that I've quickly moved away from. So there hasn't been like any sort of huge moment. I think probably if I had to say the biggest, it would be not realizing how far these videos would go and being very culturally specific to my area and to the weddings that I experience. But there's no way I could have known. There's no way I could have known. That. So that's probably the biggest mistake. But the rest of them are minute ones of like, oh, probably should have said that. Or I wish I would have phrased that differently. But I don't think I've made any massive mistakes yet. And if I do, I kind of welcome them because I learned so much from being so culturally specific that I'm now better able to serve my viewers. With a little bit of like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. But it ended up being a healthy thing for my channel in the
end. What is the best decision you made about your channel?
Is it redundant to say just starting it?
No, if that's the same. Hey, there's no wrong or right answers. So.
Yeah. I think just starting it was huge. And then I also think if you look back at some of my old videos, I'm very quiet. I'm now, bear in mind, we had a smaller baby at that time. He's now 2.5. But like I was filming in a space that I couldn't be louder. I had to be cautious of sounds around me. And now I'm like, hello, and like flailing my arms. And I'm so much more me now. So I think that growth has been huge.
And what is the best opportunity you've received as a result of your YouTube channel?
Just getting clients. Like getting to be able to travel to great locations and getting wonderful clients who already have this unbelievable, really sweet, kind respect for me. I'm blown away by it. I don't quite understand it. But every client that I've worked with that I've met because of YouTube, they become friends.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's been, I don't know, it's just been the coolest advertising. And the fact that I get to work with these amazing clients and then stick around and be a part of their lives afterwards that's been really radical.
That's so cool. So as your channel grows, do you always see yourself all like planning events? You don't see yourself just doing kind of the YouTube thing?
I think I will reach a point where planning events I always want to plan events. I think even if I get down to just a handful a year, that'll be the case. Cause I actually, I have a podcast coming out soon. So there's more plates that we're spinning. There's more things that we're doing. So it's, I will probably do far less. Because I think ideally I'd love to break into more of the lifestyle sphere. And I'd love to really build up my second channel. I love doing home decor stuff. I love vlogging with my kids. I love, because it really pushes me to do fun things with my children and do fun things around my home. So I do, if I'm really honest, I want to be Joanna Gaines one day. Just
yes. Goals.
Low key.
Yeah.
She's goals.
She is.
And I'm already married to Chip, so it's fine. My husband is Chip Gaines. So
you're almost there. Yeah.
Yeah, half the battle is won or lost, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I want to continue to do wedding content. I want to continue to do weddings, but I also want to be practical that there will come a time when I will do less weddings.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Or I will pass them on to other planners that are within my company and take on more of a managerial role so then I can do better quality videos or do more DIYs or do more interviews.
Have you been able to adjust your prices with more business coming in? Have you been able to change it and up it a little bit? I can. I haven't yet because I'm at that weird space of if I go into this next pricing tier, it prices me out of quite a few budgets. And my heart has always been for the budget brides, which is why I created the course. So it's that personal battle within me of yes, we've been in business for several years now. I can up my prices, but I haven't upped them in the last 2 years. So I probably will for 2020 because I think it's time. Yeah.
And because I think people, if they want me there, that doesn't sound right.
Well, no, but I mean, it's saying when the demand is high, it's you can only do so much also. You can't, if at some point you're I can't do 10 weddings this month, it's at some point the pricing has to match the demand. So. Yeah,
that's fair. That's a great way of putting it. I wish that I could stay the budget coordinator forever.
Yeah.
But I can't. It's just, there's way too high of a demand, which is saying my silver spoon is too cold. But like, oh,
I've never heard that before, but that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have so many people who want to hire me. Wow.
Yeah.
But really, we'll probably raise prices. I've tried to stay as low as I can for as long as I can, but that's why I created the course, so I could price myself up a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Because you're still providing something for people who want you. So,
yeah.
And last question, what is your YouTube superpower? Meaning, what is it about you that comes really naturally that has contributed to your success on YouTube?
I think it goes back to the basically letting my personality show. Because if I've ever clicked on a video and I start watching a few minutes, if I'm a new viewer, if the person's really flat, I click away pretty often. So I think that if I had to pick a superpower, it would probably be doing my best to be engaging. I'm still myself. I'm still me. I'm just like a slightly turned up version.
Yeah.
And I think that has created, because I've had some dry content, but if I can find a way to be a little bit snarky about it or slip in a decent dad joke, then like they stick around. And they're really bad dad jokes. They're really bad, but yeah, it happens anyway. So I think finding a way to still be me, and that's a weird adjustment to make, but still be me and just really kind of get into it. That's been, I think, my biggest asset.
Yeah. And it's, YouTube is so much about, especially like information channels, like what you have, like you're not going to be the one doing trends or hauls. I mean, yes, you can do trends, maybe like a winter wedding or like, that kind of trend with seasons and all that. But the reality is you're not going to jump on, the latest, like, whatever trend, Shane Dawson trend or whatever big YouTuber is doing, right? You're not going to be doing that. So your channel is very much information driven, but it's the YouTuber or the creator that's able to marry both information with entertainment that is ultimately the one that sees success. And it's just like exactly everything that you've been talking about. That like, sometimes, I'm sure some of the stuff you're talking about can get kind of dry. It's very like factual. Okay, do this, don't do that. But you got to add some fun to it.
Yeah. Oh. Because that's the goal. Wedding planning can actually be fun. And if I could spend 20 minutes with you telling you about the things you don't have to worry about and the things that maybe you should focus a little bit more time on and be funny in the process and make you feel better about one of the most exciting but sometimes one of the most stressful parts of your life, then I've done my job. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and I love that the fact that like, I love the fact that you have a niche and you've seen the success, and it's really, you've been a year and a half or so on YouTube, and it's changed your life in a lot of different ways. You have this course, you have more business, and it just shows like the power of understanding who you are, understanding what you have to offer, and then serving your audience. So thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. And so for anybody listening who wants to check you out, who wants to check out your channel, maybe they're getting married, maybe they want to take your course, maybe they want to hire you, where can people find you?
Okay, so most of our handles are at JW Coordination. So if you want to find us on Instagram, it's JW Coordination. My website is jwcoordination.com, which is where if you want to hire us, that option is there. The master plan is also linked there as well, which is our course. And then if you want to find me on YouTube, my main channel is just my name, Jamie Wolfer.
Awesome. And I will have all the links in the show notes and in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Let us know what you got out of this interview. What was your biggest takeaway? Do you relate to what Jamie's gone through? Any of that stuff. Would love to hear what you guys think. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.